Proceed on your way to oblivion.
Guys. It's here. So, today I am very excited to bring you a review for the long-awaited, one-of-a-kind Transformers War for Cybertron Unicron. It's been about a year and a half now that we've been waiting on this guy, and he's the first and so far only HasLab Transformers project. Came with a very, very hefty price tag, but he holds the distinction of being, by a good measure, the largest Transformer ever made, and has the complexity and the detail to kind of back up the asking price. So, this is going to be a review unlike any I've ever done. You can see we're way zoomed out now. You can get a good look at my whole setup. So, you know how it goes, right? We're going to look at the packaging, going to open him up, going to show all that process too, right? Because with him, an unboxing is kind of necessary. So I'll probably drop him down to the floor, lift everything out, and show off everything that comes inside this box. We're going to get a really good look at Unicron's completed planet mode. I'm definitely going to be doing some comparisons with other Unicron figures and, maybe throwing a certain rival during that. And then we'll do the very lengthy, very involved transformation. Get a good look at how all that works, and then see Unicron in his glorious robot mode. And really just get a good look at all the features, everything that makes up this guy, makes him what he is. And then, of course, another round of group shots, comparisons. And then at the end of the video, like always, I'll give my final thoughts. So, buckle up. This is going to be a long one, but it's well worth it, I think. Probably going to be my longest review ever. And we're just going to have a lot of fun. So, stay tuned and enjoy. So, Unicron comes in this very select style box. Apparently, according to Ben Montano, he was originally supposed to be a select toy. So, yeah, that's his reasoning for why the box is the way it is. The very, plain cardboard with black print. So, yeah, I guess. So they got this really cool thing going on, though. You got a really nice bit of artwork, of line work with Unicron as planet mode. You get a very unique logo for the character that has his name, some tech detailing and big horns on the side. Transformers brand, Hasbro, Generations, Cartomy, all that stuff. You can see there's like this black spatter in the background. That's the stars. Go ahead and turn this 90. You just get it's kind of the wraparound, the front image, though it's offset down by about almost an inch, oddly. So you just see the rest of the planet mode, the bigger logo. They managed to punch a small hole in my box there, so that's kind of annoying. More logos, more stuff like that. Smacking my lights here. On the back, this is really cool. You get a picture of Unicron's severed head from the end of the movie and, season 3 onward. You can see a bunch of Transformers floating around here. That's definitely Galvatron. You can make him out easily. Not sure who the rest are. You have on this corner what appears to be the planet Cybertron. You have the Junkion ship, Quintesson ship. It's a Quintesson ship with this weird spiral-like pattern. I'm not sure what that is. Planet Char, maybe? Not entirely sure. Turn it again. You just get a big old Unicron logo, some more stars, designed by HasLab. So they didn't really slouch when it came to this, line art style packaging. It's a lot more than just the usual brand, and that's it. I'm gonna tip this forward carefully so you guys can see the top of the box. Big giant War for Cybertron logo, Transformers logo. Here's the rest of that Cybertron. Now you see all this is supposed to be, I guess, star patterning. Freaked me out a little bit when I first opened the outer box that this comes in, Because I thought this had gotten like spattered with dirt or something. And then I realized, oh no, those are just stars, so. Crisis averted. All right. So we got all that. I'm trying not to destroy my display while I'm doing this. So this is our box. Overall, I'm pretty impressed. I know a lot of people aren't happy about the kind of plain style. They wanted something a little more extravagant, you know, kind of like your typical outer packaging. I don't know, for something like this though, I mean, this is essentially a shipper box, and I think that would just, I mean, you see how rough mine's kind of been handled, you know, like this dented corner and all that, and there was that hole on one side. I'm kind of glad they didn't go nuts on the packaging, because, you know, it would just get ruined anyway. Plus, where are you going to keep a box like this? I mean, I know we got inbox collectors, but this is huge. This is like a whole toy line worth of space right here. All right, so go ahead, drop the box down. Oops, hit my light again. Now, I'm going to carefully open this and start taking everything out. All right, so I'm going to cut the tape here. Let's open this up. All right. So we have the instruction book. Look at that. It's thick. It's a big boy. Wow. Full color. I dig it. All right. All right. Shows you where to store everything. Huh. Cool, cool, cool. And it shows you how to set up a base. This is involved. It's good. Good. Paid good money for this book. So you just get the same art, but in color this time. It's on the box. You get the back art here. And I quote from Unicron, "You underestimate me." Let's hope so. Hope we didn't overestimate him. So very, very cool. You can tell they're really pulling out all the stops here to make this feel premium. Set that down. And he's got this cardboard insert to separate the instructions from everything else. It's gonna get hectic. Okay, got little straps. Ooh, just like the whole thing. Oh boy, my back. Huh. Okay, it's sliding out little by little here. Just trying to be careful not to damage anything, you know. Super in there. Okay. Rather than make you watch this process, I'm gonna go ahead and time skip a bit. All right. Now that I've had my workout for the day, finally got the styrofoam cube out. So you can see it's got some shipping straps here. I'll go ahead and cut those, like so. Move strap, get out of the way. All right. So the first thing I'll show you, right here in the top of the cube, there's like a little alcove, little compartment, and you just got some bags. Bag A, which looks like one of the wings. Bag B has the other one. Set that down. And then, well, I guess it's bag C, or completely unlabeled bag. And this is the base, which is part of it. Might be more to it than that. All right, so there's like just your accessories. Bigger accessories anyway. Let's see, there's some cardboard here. I don't do anything with that. They can just, oh, here it is. Wow. Guys, look at it. 'Tis glorious. Here he is. Boy, it is crazy seeing this thing in hand. Absolutely humongous. It's like a beach ball. Love it. All right, so here's his head. What else we got? This looks like the rest of the base. I think this is the actual vertical part that you rest them on there. Okay. And let's see what else we got. These are the spikes that go around the planet and stuff. Seem to be in good condition. Nothing looks really bent. So that's good. That was a worry of mine. They're harder than I expected them to be. I thought they'd be like a really soft rubber, but pretty solid. This is, well, looks like a few things here. I can see your Rodimus and Galvatron slug figures. I don't know if you guys can see those in there. This yellow stuff on the sprues is they're the screw hole fillers, so you can cover those up. Little black piece that I think goes on the base, and this clear bit I think is the stand for the dismembered head, as well as like the ship and all that. So, all right, it's bag D. Spikes for C. And I think that's it for accessories. I'm gonna look them out by the notes here. I'm scared to. I'm afraid, guys, I don't break my toy. It only cost me like half of a bonus. Oh, look at it. Look at that. Look at that big chungus. Whoa. This is cool. It feels good too. The mechanisms are really well done. I don't feel any gear slippage or anything. So that's neat. Now, one thing we'll talk about right now while I have you staring at the maw. You might have heard some people complaining about this maw, and that's because originally all this here was yellow, like the outer ring and the teeth, and they decided to change that to where all this inner stuff is now blue. A lot of people were not happy about that. They didn't like the change. Ben Montano did address this, and he said, according to him, that the change was made, I guess, based on different angles that you see in the movie where, you know, the inside parts aren't actually yellow. I don't know if I really buy it, to be completely honest. Like, I could see them changing this inner part to, you know, blue or gray or something. Because, yeah, you can see the little chompers in the movie, and they're not yellow. But why this? Why the gears? I don't fully buy it. I think it was a cost-cutting measure, and we'll get more into that. Because as much as I love this thing, there are some criticisms. Alright, so that's all really cool. I'm going to go ahead and probably time skip a little bit now just to get them set up where I can really show them off. So bear with me, folks. Alright, time skip accomplished, and a little bit longer than I thought it was going to be. You can see, I've got new lights. Nice and bright in here now. Gone and made some improvements to the setup. So here he is. Here is our Chaos Bringer in his planet mode. You can see it's just very, very cool looking. It's supposed to be a 30-inch diameter across the rings there. I don't know if they mean from like the tips of the spikes, or I think they just mean the ring itself. And just want to show off everything he comes with, which is why we're in our free camera mode here. So these are all the face plates. And you can see he's got standard faceplate for the upper part right there. And this is the chin that comes attached to the toy by default. And it's the original one they showed off. Then you get your damaged faceplate to make him look like he does after the end of the movie when his head gets blown off and everything. And then our goateed chin, which is the one that he's most commonly depicted with across different media. Our instruction book, we already got a pretty good look at that. And now here is our little flight display setup. You can see that. There's his head, obviously, missing all the coverings, so you get to see what the inner workings look like. His lower teeth are cool. They're actually spring-loaded, so that you can like close his mouth all the way. Won't do it in this mode, but I'll show you. One thing I don't like, so one of my gripes, is that these lower teeth here are not painted. And that really stinks because when he has an actual faceplate, you know, attached, those are still exposed, unlike these. So you get a color mismatch with his teeth, which I think looks pretty bad for a $600 toy. The horns, they're like all solid, they don't rotate or anything. And then the head has this little switch, little dial on the back. And that makes his eyes very creepily look back and forth. Which is a really cool gimmick, except when when you have a faceplate attached, you really cannot see these underneath, so it's kind of wasted. I'm not really sure what the thought process for including that was. Alright, here's our little arc that you can see. It's very nicely done, pretty solid plastic, got some silver paint around it, and our two little slug figures. So there you go, that is the Galvatron, and he's noticeably more, I don't know, smudgy looking than the old pictures, old shots hinted at. That's apparently because they had to make these guys smaller than they initially planned, and in order to do that you had to lose a lot of detail and had to have a bit of a webbing across their small parts there. Phone doesn't really want to focus on it, but right there. And then here is the Hot Rod, who I think came out looking a lot better, much more detailed looking. Oddly enough, Hot Rod, his whole figure there is red, including the base, whereas Galvatron's, the base has got some orange showing on it. Not sure what the difference is, if that was intentional or not. So yeah, there's all that. And if you are fortunate enough to have bought the accessory pack with the Centurion drone, it came with this little tiny gray Optimus Prime slug figure. There's the front of him. That can be placed in one of these slots, just like the two that are included. And you can see there's a number of slots here. You get 5 on each side, which is really cool. It does make me wonder if they intend to have quite a few more of these released, or if they just have them for more options. I'm not really totally positive on that. But I'll go ahead and place Optimus near Rodimus, so you can have them hanging out together. I just found it weird that they did this with Optimus Prime because he was dead by the time Unicron showed up. Though it is gray, so maybe his corpse is in attendance, I don't know. There you go. You get 3 characters on there so far. Maybe we'll see more. Now one thing that's interesting is that this little piece right here that holds the arc, that's like a separate piece that you can stick in that hole there. And it could also fit on the front, it can fit on this side, you know, whatever you want to do with it. Now it's odd, so you got 3 different placements for it. We know that the Revenge is coming. There's going to be a grave replica of the Revenge, and it's actually going to be part of the upcoming Kingdom Galvatron. He's going to have 2 copies of the Revenge that can combine into a railgun, but it's also meant to go with this display here. Well, for one, I hate that it's gray because like, it's supposed to be purple, so that doesn't really work. But also, like, is he going to come with another little flight stand to attach that to? That's what I've been wondering. Like, are you going to get one more? And if that's the case, is there going to be a third one? I don't know what the intentions are. We'll show you that the head is removable from this. Go ahead and pull it up, if it'll let me. There we go. All right, so you can see there's just little like tabs on here. Come on, it doesn't want to focus on this because it's clear. There you go. And they match up with the little tabs on the base of his neck. So you can just go ahead, push that on, like so. All right, so you get all this. That's pretty cool. And of course you can choose to, you know, place any of his little faceplate pieces on there. So let's go ahead. Let's do the standard chin, because you got to do the chin first. There is an actual order you got to do this. The chin has to go on first and come off last. And let's go ahead and place the damaged faceplate on here. And you get this. And this really works with the display because he's a disembodied head. He should look all beat up. And like I was saying, you really can't see the eyeballs too well. You can kind of see him with this faceplate because there's holes in the eyes. So you can see him moving around back there a bit. With the full one though, yeah, it's very difficult to make out. Kind of pointless. All right, this is what I was talking about with the teeth. So you can see silver teeth up here, and they really don't match. And this was originally supposed to be silver, and they changed it. I can only presume to cut costs. But yeah, so you see you can push this all the way in. These bottom teeth actually retract to do so, so you can get a closed mouth Unicron without like having his chomper showing. So very cool. So we haven't even really messed with the main body. We've just looked at this, and already we've got a whole lot of play value. So let's move these out of the way.
let's look at Unicron himself. So we've already seen this thing's quite massive and very detailed. You get his little spires here running across the equator. And they're not a really soft plastic. They're not like rubber, but they're not really hard either. And these are actually like bands. I've already gone and set this up that kind of attach and wrap around here. The mandibles, they move completely separately from one another, as you can see there. And then I'll give you another look at this, more close up. You just turn the outer ring to open and close his mouth, like so. Now, again, I've already complained a bit about the blue around the maw. I think it really just hurts it. And, you know, they said, like, well, you know, this should be blue. And like, okay, sure. But why is this? These aren't all one piece, right? They don't appear to be. So, I don't know. Or if that was going to be the case, if this is all one piece of plastic somehow, you could have just painted this blue. Like, nothing touches it. There's no moving parts here. So you wouldn't have to worry about paint coming off. So I don't really buy it. I really think it was cost cutting and they're just making excuses. It was like the same way that, you know, somebody asked why Combiner Wars Computron has the same head as Superion. They're like, oh, it's about evolving the design. Like, you didn't evolve it. He just looks like the other guy now. You didn't make any changes. You just didn't change things. So, yeah, sometimes I think for the sake of PR, they pull the wool over our eyes. I'm not going to lie. I don't trust Hasbro to always be very honest with us about why they do what they do. Because, you know, they don't want to admit, like, oh, we're just cheap. We're just trying to save money at your expense. These do wriggle up and down a little bit in this mode. There's not much clearance. When it came out of the box, these are actually folded up in there. So, all right, look at the surface detailing, though, huh? Gorgeous. All these panels line up very well. In areas where it looks gappy, when you actually like get in there, there's actually meshing going on where they're cut at like an angle, so it's not just big gaps. You can see some holes, which look out of place in there for the panels to kind of collapse and hold together when he transforms. The rings are really only attached here at the equator. Here's another issue I have is the blue little ring clips. Those used to be yellow and they changed it to blue. And I imagine it's just to make the mold cheaper, because why not? They didn't get enough money from us. All right, here at the North and South Poles, they're not actually attached. They're just like in there. And they have the slots being wide enough to where this can like go either way. Same thing down there. See that? Just kind of wriggles. Now the stand. I struggled with figuring out how the stand works. You can see it just kind of goes up in there. Now there are two panels, and I'll be able to show them off better during transformation. Two separate panels that have to like fold up and away and kind of collapse in, so you can get this in there and get it like plugged into where it needs to go. Unfortunately, I didn't realize. But if you go like all the way to the end of the instructions, where is it? Yeah, here it is. It will show you how to do that, how to fold things in. I didn't realize that, so I couldn't figure it out, and I just looked at like other videos and stuff of this, and everybody had the one long panel in the back actually folded out here, which I did initially when I was, you know, messing with this and getting used to it. Don't recommend doing that because it really puts a lot of stress on the little hinge. In fact, let me turn this guy around here. All right, we're at a free camera mode now. So let's pick this up. He is a heavy boy, very heavy. I actually hurt my wrist a little bit the first when I was first messing with this. All right, now you can see the back side of it. I'm trying to come out a little. All right. So he's got that like classic yellow circle on the back side. That's where his forearms fold out from right here. And yeah, so there is a hinge right here where this meets, where that little long panel attaches to. And you can technically have it folded outward, but it's really pressing against this plastic here and put a lot of stress on that. So don't do that.
don't do that. If you got this guy, look at the instructions. It'll show you what to do. Do not make the mistake I did. All right, so the rings again, they're very cool looking. They are very gappy, as you can see. They're not like super solid because honestly that would have made them really heavy, and I can kind of see why they wouldn't want to do that with the way they attach to his shoulders. They might weigh his shoulders down. So actually I can forgive that. They are very solid though. I mean, the plastic feels nice, I like it. And they're very intricate in their transformation too, and we'll get a good look at that. But yeah, you just see all the surface detailing, it looks great. He's got a ton of the little hard points for fire blast effects, which is cool because, you know, you can have some diorama of your Autobots and cons attacking him, have little explosions on him and stuff. So, yeah, this is all really, really cool. So I think we've gotten a good enough look at all this. I think now it is time to do the transformation, so buckle up. All right, it's time to do this. A couple things before we start. For one, you may have seen an old video Hasbro put out of them transforming the prototype. One big difference between that and this is that you cannot actually leave the head on Unicron in his planet mode. The head has to be detached because they took away the ability for his horns to fold down. They're one solid piece now. So that is one thing I think is a total bummer. I mean, how can you have a Transformer who has to actually remove his head to go to alt mode that isn't, you know, a headmaster or something? So that is a big change. So if you notice that, you know, the head's off, that's why you can't actually leave it on anymore. Another thing, it is technically possible to transform this without the stand, but I do not recommend it. Like, you're just gonna be struggling trying to hold this thing and turn every which way. Leave it on the stand where you transform it. It's also technically possible to transform it without removing the rings completely. But again, it's highly recommended you remove the rings because they're going to make your life a lot easier if they're not just there in the way. So, a couple things just to put out there. All right, so starting with that, we're going to remove the rings. And I wish I had like one of those turnstile table things. Sorry that I don't. I'm ghetto reviewer. But there's little points up here where the ring halves separate, like so. Does that here. And then they snap apart down here as well. I just found this one a little bit harder to remove. Okay. Went without too much of a fight this time, that's good. Last time I was afraid I was gonna break it. Alright, so you go ahead, pull these out. What's in there? How'd you get in there so tight? Come on. There we go. So in here, slide that out. And you're just gonna pull the rings free. Slide out like so. Ta-da! I'm gonna set these aside for now. I'm not gonna use them until the very end. Just like that. And they're keyed, so they're only gonna go in a certain way to that hole. So don't worry about putting them in the wrong way. You won't. You won't. They'll be alright. Okay. So the first major part of this transformation, excuse me as I get around my overly complicated light setup, you're going to pop these upper side panels loose first. Best way to start that is by pulling right here, I would say, from the back. Start popping things free. They have kind of alternating clasps. That's the best way I can frame it. So you gotta really look at the angle at which you're pulling. They're pretty hardy, so I wouldn't worry too much about breaking them, but obviously don't go nuts on them. All right, so you kind of get this up and out of the way. And personally, I just leave it like this for now. Whoop. Going through here. All right, so do the same thing over here. You need a bigger room. All right, so start popping things loose from one side. Grip, just work it free, and just kind of feel it out, right? Feel where it wants to come loose and where it wants to hold. So you get this, and then you're going to do pretty much the same thing on the lower halves. I'm going to separate the lower sides from the center. Feel it out, get it loose. Lower halves are gonna be more trouble than the upper ones. There you go. All right, just kind of get them hanging out there, out of the way and off to the side. Here, trying to pull them free. Set me free. Free, that's free too. All right, cool. Get all that. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and take these little equator rings, just kind of break them loose. Run a little tab on his robot shoulders. Get them free, like so. Then you got them in the back here. I'll show you that. They're tabbed in over these like elbow joints. So get those nice and free and loose, like that. Keep things out of the way. And you want to pop this panel off, like this, and separate it from the very top. And it's going to lift up on like a little hinge. Rotate it around. We'll go 180. And just kind of fold it down, flatten it out for now, leave it be. You're getting there, you see it? See it coming together yet? Excited? I'm excited. All right. So now what we can do, we can break these loose too. Get them free. Come around here again. Okay. Go ahead, we're going to start collapsing these sides here. So they're on just a whole bunch of hinges and they kind of just clasp together the way, you know, that they do against the other panels. So just fold in on themselves. And just kind of leave them hanging out. The instructions say like place it up on here, but it's not going to stay. These little armatures that they're attached to are just way too loose, so don't bother trying to do that. You're just going to frustrate yourself having it fall down on you over and over again. Hang out there. And do the same on the bottoms. Apart. Some are going to swing in, some will swing out. You can tell by how the hinges are shaped and how they're set up. Come on, buddy. There you go. There's a certain order you got to do it with too, as far as folding them in. They won't fit right. And again, just leave things hanging. They'll be all right. Nice, strong armatures, so don't worry about them. The more you go, the more you kind of get the feel for it, the quicker it should be. So that's always good. All right, gotta bring this down. Come on. Okay, let's talk about those panels that I mentioned. The ones that are involved in the stand. All right, so here you can see this coated in silver. This is that one long panel, the long gray one. This is the one that it's supposed to fold up inside like this. And you can technically bend it out, but please don't. Don't do it. You're just putting undue stress on your toy. So we're gonna go ahead and get this guy back out where he needs to be. You gotta kind of bend it a little bit just to get it over this latch. All right, so you got all that.
Get those free. We're nice and out of the way, causing any issues. Turn this around. Where's the other panel? Should be on the other end of this. Oh, here it is. I'm not sure how you can see that. Gonna bring in close, folks. All right. So right here, this little guy. This is the other one that's supposed to fold in to get him on the stand in planet mode. So both of those, you'll fold outwards if you want to close up the gap in the bottom of the planet, which, though, obviously means you can't put them on the stand. So now for robot mode, you're gonna put them back flat, like they'd be if you were making just a complete sphere. All right.
Everybody with me so far?
I know it's a lot. Alrighty. Should come loose. You know what? Actually. Ah, here it is. Okay. There's a big old clasp that attaches to pretty much his belt buckle area right here. I'm gonna pull this loose from it. Holds on pretty tightly, so you may have to really give it some gusto there. All right, here we go. Look at that. That gets all this kind of up and out of the way and all nice like. All right, so get all this. Let's go ahead. We're gonna freeze arms. All right.
Does this look familiar from the movie, right? Where
His bits open up and his hands come out of them.
same thing happens here. So they're tabbed in together. It's going to take a fair amount of force to separate them.
Pretty strong little clasps there. But you get this. Good. Straighten them out.
All right. Now this is where clearance might become a little annoying, but it's not too bad to work with. These need to swing up and everything. But before you can swing them up, you need to swing things out. And that's kind of the tricky part. Because they're on these thin little panels and they have very strong ratchets. So what I would recommend doing, rotate this so you can see it better. And it's not going to be very fun. You want to hold this blue panel it's attached to and hold it firmly to where it's not being stressed. And then you're going to use force to turn this very, very strong ratchet in his shoulder to swing the arms forward. Just so you get some clearance in here. And it's a little anxiety inducing because you're like, oh man, I hope I don't break this thing. There you go, that should do the trick. So you finish swinging this up, and the smaller panel here is going to plug in there. Just push it in, it clicks. And then this other one is on, it plugs in, but there's like a little spring-loaded clasp that you have to pull back to get it to connect all the way. And what that clasp is really doing is it's holding it in, holding everything together so that you can actually lift his arms up. So without it, you would just be lifting up the blue panel. So let's go ahead. I'm going to bend this forward to keep it out of the way. All right. Pull this back while you go. Push everything in. There we go. Now that that's all in there, you can test it by doing this. This should lift it up. You see? Here's the actual ratchet for his shoulder. And you see the panels aren't pulling themselves apart. So you know you're doing it right if you got that. So, again, it can be frustrating, and my first time it took me a good bit of messing with it and trial and error to get it to go. All right, we're gonna do the same thing here. Again, you wanna hold this blue panel in place while you turn the shoulder. It's not gonna be easy. You can do it. Let's go ahead and swing this up. So we're gonna know that's gonna make it easier. Bring all this together. Pull this little hasp
back. And plugs in. Alright, everything in where it should be. Looks like it. Test it. Looks good. Alright. Got all that. Cool, cool, cool. Right now, we're getting there, folks. It's time to do the legs. So pull the legs back, or pull them apart actually. We're tabbed together, right here, and just like with the arms, take a bit of force, but they will separate, just like so. So 1, 2, 3, there you go. Here you go, buddy. All right, go ahead and unfold the feet. Remember that little iconic bit where his talon-like feet just kind of unfurl? Yeah. It's pretty cool, it's pretty cool. All right. Now, this part is interesting. He's got all this cable hanging off his legs. So you gotta manipulate the legs and get them to move into position and all that without causing any sort of undue rubbing or stressing. So just kind of work it steadily. Lift the legs up and out if you have to. Like, slowly, carefully get the legs into a somewhat neutral position. Keep working on them. Go. See that? Right there. Let's go ahead and do this side now. Kind of a real mess, isn't he? Big old floppy mess that he is mid-transformation. But honestly, if he's a big floppy mess, you're probably doing something right. It means you're moving parts into place where they need to go. Come on, buddy. Let's straighten those knees. All right. Oh, now you got this monstrosity. Showing up weight on things that we shouldn't. All right, we're getting there. Okay, all this, we're gonna lift this up. Lift it up. You're gonna slide this thing up. Rotate all this big gigantic mess around. Like so. And then you want this little slide to slide down, and there's a tab here that needs to slot in. So it'll go a very specific way. Am I hitting something? I don't know what it is. Alright. His little butt flaps need to come down. There you go. There you go. Now this will tab in. Silly me. Fall for the butt flaps every time. They always get me. Curse those butt flaps. Alrighty. So back here. Alright. Getting a good idea of how this is coming? Alright. So, let's focus on the back side again. These panels here, I want them to fold up on themselves. You want them to attach here. Then they're going to fold up on all this and should plug in pretty securely. Go ahead, fold these kind of down like so. Put these bits in. Fold that together. Bring all this up inside. Like so. Watch out for spikes. You're going to swing these around, bring the horns like under and forward like this. All right, and it turns in all that right there. Now there is a purpose for these little hinges here. Swing them in. They're going to attach to him right here with these little slots on the sides. So you just got to make everything line up the way it needs to. Have it tucked all the way. Alright, that's on there. Again, if something's not fitting right, just kind of carefully manipulate things, make sure you got all the panels lined up. He's a very panely guy. Alright, we're getting there, folks. We are almost done.
It's a long one, isn't it? All right, so forearms. You're gonna push them down all the way until they snap into place. Then you're gonna unfurl the hands and pose however you see fit. See how articulated the hands are? Just like a human hand. So you got like the base of the thumb, single bend here, and then on the fingers, knuckle, mid-digit, fingertip. So very articulated. You'll also notice that the insides of the hands aren't painted. They're blue. Another issue I have from the initial, renders and the initial pictures is that originally the hands were really nice and silver all around. Now instead, you get some silver paint on like the main part of the hand, sides of the thumb, but then you get a lot of blue plastic and like gray plastic that kind of color matches the silver, but not really. The whole thing used to just be silver. So just be aware, it's not gonna look exactly as you remember. Sure, there's a perfectly good reason for it though. Something about artistic expression, something, reinventing the wheel. I mean, why have a Unicron with just silver hands when they could be silver and blue and gray, So, yeah, it is what it is. They did at least paint the knuckles though. The knuckles are still yellow, so that's awesome. As far as his little ring things, you can see that you're supposed to kind of keep them out just to give more clearance. And it's like, you got the ring itself and then there's a hinge here, and you're supposed to kind of bring it up to where the ring itself is pressed against the little equatorial ring. Alrighty, look at that. Now we just got to do the legs and we're good. This part looks like a jumbled mess and is kind of a jumbled mess if we're being perfectly honest. So this piece right here is going to kind of swing down. We'll just rotate it in like this. And you're going to take the back, and you can see some tabs here. They're going to plug into part of his leg kibble. So this double hinge, you're going to swing all the way down. That should get the leg kibble line up just like so. And it's also going to slide into this little bit right here. So there you go. Now to bring this up, get out of the way, you're going to press the side kibble in. And there's a very specific way you got to do it. See, it's very complicated armature here with multiple hinges. You want this little skinny part to go up inside this like thicker body, and bring all this up. Press it in, and you want to bring this down. In fact, it's actually easier to just swing it around like this. All right. This is going to plug onto here and a little tab underneath the outer panel. Make sure everything lines up like it needs to. Presses in right, like that, and that. And there you go. That is how the leg is supposed to look. From the sides and the back, it looks like a panelly mess, because it is, but it does hold itself together very well. This bit right here that acts as a bracket really helps make it all work and everything stays where it should. So, yeah. You already knew you're getting a panelly mess. Don't be mad now, folks. You paid for it. You knew it was coming. Just accept him for who he is, guys. All right. Et voila. Here it is. Here's Unicron's Titanic body. Behold. Pretty nice, right? All right. Now let's go ahead and do the wings. Both transform the same way, so once you get one down, you get the other. Alrighty, so first thing, let's rotate this. Rotate this guy around. Like so. Bend that, straighten that out. And this little bit right here kind of unplugs, rotates. You straighten this out. And then we bend it here. You see that? And then this little bit here plugs into this notch. complete the whole thing pretty firmly. Straighten out the wingtip. Give yourself some clearance. Straighten this out a bit. Nice. And I believe that's it. Everything's pointing the way it should. Yep. Here we go. All right, there's one wing. And to attach them, again, they're keyed, right? You gotta make sure they go a certain way. So this one is gonna plug in with the tips facing forward. So you slide all the way in, and it's on a ratchet. And you're just gonna ratchet it down, like that. That's one wing. Let's go ahead and do the other one. And thanks to the power of time skip magic, it's already transformed. Now this one, because of the way the keying works, this is going to plug in facing backwards and need to be rotated down. So head all the way in, turn it. I'd say it's a worrying amount of force that needs to be applied to make this work, so just don't get too freaked out. It'll go. You fight a little, but it'll go. All right. All right, here it is. This is it. Finished product. Oh yeah. I think we're forgetting something. All right. So, we're gonna take our head from its little mini stand. I've gone ahead and attached the normal faceplate, by the way. And it plugs in just the same way it does on the stand. Little clips there. And here it is, the Chaos Bringer. Look at that. I'd say that's worth a 1.5 years wait. What do you guys think? You think it's worth it? For all the cut corners that I really would prefer not seeing, for the, kibble that we knew was going to be there, I think he looks just amazing. I really do. For somebody that has to transform into this robot and also like a perfect spherical planet, yeah, I'm good. As far as the mold's concerned, this does it for me. Now at the head, you can see, now that it's mounted, it can look every which way. It can tilt back, the mouth can open, you can eat Galvatron, all that fun stuff. He just looks phenomenal. And yeah, I mean, the tolerances on this guy too, are awesome. The ratchets here, super beefy, because they're holding a lot of weight. It's not just his arms now with the wings. These bits right here, they're just kind of hanging loose. They don't really get in the way. Arms look nice and beefy. They're really cool. Got the wrist swivel, all that. We were talking about the fingers and how great they look. Interestingly, the elbow ratchets are very soft. They're very soft ratchets, very smooth. It's got the bicep swivel, of course. It's got a full ratcheted waist swivel, which is great. The legs can go in and out, back and forth, as you saw in our transformation. You rotate, the knees bend, and his front and back little toe areas are pretty hefty ratchets themselves. And of course, he's got ankle tilt. He's got an ankle tilt. Look at that. So this is all really cool, and you can keep him on the stand as a nice display bit, or you can remove him. Let's go ahead and do that. I'm just going to pull him straight up. It's actually not very hard to take off, and you can see the way the stand is, right? These little ridges just kind of slide up into little notches there, right behind his little back or butt area.
Here's a quick look at how the faceplate and chin store underneath the stand here. Just have these nice little slots that hold them in pretty securely. So that way when you flip the stand up where it belongs, go ahead and it all just tucks away nice and neat. So that's very convenient. You don't have any little parts just hanging out somewhere.
All right, here we have him standing up on his own now. So you can see he's very capable of that. And that doesn't mean that you can pose this guy every which way and he's going to stand up. He's very heavy, and even though he's got some pretty beefy ratchets, if he's leaning too far forward, too far back, you can expect him to possibly flop over. In fact, the first time I transformed this guy off camera and got used to him and everything, took him off the stand, he fell through this whole display. I had to set the whole thing back up. It was not fun. So I got him in a pretty good neutral position right now. Knees a little bent. You got to make sure that his toes right here are like ratcheted all the way down to where they're pressing against the surface, right? Really need that support. So yeah, looking at the way this guy looks, I think he just comes together phenomenally. Obviously, he's got some accuracy issues because of all the kibble, and there's really also the fact that he is War for Cybertron Unicron, and as such, he carries that aesthetic. So he has a lot of the panel lines, he's got the hard points, all that. So he's G1 Unicron, but he's done with the design mentality of War for Cybertron. So just keep that in mind, right? He's not like, he doesn't look like he jumped straight out of the cartoon per se. There is a third-party offering that came out, a bit before this one. And I don't usually really cover third-party much, but that was the Studio Cell, their version of Unicron. And, a lot of people like that one. I don't have it, obviously, I don't collect those. But, there are some key differences between that and this. The Studio Cell one is significantly smaller, for one. He's not nearly as massive as this guy. And it does have a much cleaner robot mode. So it's generally a little more movie or show accurate than this guy in that mode. However, the planet mode suffers because of it. So, it's a lot weaker than his planet mode is. To me personally, I don't mind the added bulk. I think it just makes him look more of a hulking behemoth. And I actually like the way the horns or the mandibles end up, kind of sticking up on his back. It very much reminds me of the Beast Wars Neo Megatron prototype that a lot of you guys probably seen pictures of. It was never fully produced beyond just like a gray prototype. But, honestly, I would love if they released that finally after all these years. Like, even though we got this guy and he's, the quintessential Unicron, I would happily pay money if they released Beast Wars Neo Unicron. Just have another version of him out there. And that actually reminds me, right, speaking of other versions of this guy, I got a couple to, show off and compare him with. So, right here, those maybe not in the know, this is the Transformers Armada Unicron. It's the first official Unicron to be made. And I'm just now realizing that I probably should have showed off this planet mode while he was in planet mode, so I have failed you guys. But I've committed now. We're not going back. So yeah, you can see he's significantly smaller, but he kind of gets the same overall aesthetic, right? However, you can see that despite this being kind of cool, it's very compromised in planet mode, right? Like the whole back of it is just the robot folded up. He does carry that whole forearm equator thing, though. That's kind of neat. There's a little chomping action, which is cool. But, it's a product of its time. This is significantly older than our new Unicron, and, the engineering reflects that. But it's a neat little stand-in, right? Like, if you can't afford this guy, you can always track down one of these for a lot cheaper. He does the trick. Plus, there's more G1 accurate retools of this guy that you can always look for. But I like him for what he is. But I think we can officially retire him as the ultimate Unicron now, because he's just really not up to snuff these days. So there's that. He's cool. And our other planetoid Transformer, this is Transformer Cybertron Primus, who turns into, well, the planet Cybertron. So that's really cool. If you happen to have this guy, you can enact all sorts of fun stuff now with having him, attack the planet Cybertron, either, trying to eat it in planet mode or, smashing it in robot mode. Though it is quite a bit smaller than he is. Something you got to think about. It might not be up to scale like it should be, but it's better than nothing. This actually makes me think, I don't know if they were going to do another Transformers HasLab project. Personally, I would love to see a HasLab Primus to match this guy, because they are supposed to be about the same size. I don't know if it would ever happen, to be honest. Primus just doesn't really have the star power that Unicron has. Most people that have been around since at least '86 or so, They probably know who Unicron is if they're like a casual Transformers fan. They saw him in the movie or saw him in season 3. Primus was never in the cartoon, and most people that know Transformers know it from the cartoon. He was only like in the comics originally. I don't think that he has the name recognition to get a HasLab project off the ground. In fact, Unicron came very dangerously close to not making the cut. So I can't imagine Primus would make it. Unless, I don't know, they really start hyping him up in other media and stuff in the meantime to get more awareness out there, and then maybe? I don't know. To me, that's kind of a pipe dream. I don't see it happening, but I would be very happy to be proven wrong. Speaking of Primus, here's the little head that some releases of him came with, the damaged Unicron head, which is supposed to be, you know, again, the Armada one. You can see like half his face is gone. For some reason, it has tentacles at the base. So, we always have Unicron hold his own head if you want to, which is kind of cool. One of that right there, old buddy. Look at that. That's neat. And the only other Unicron I have, I don't have the Gaia Unicron. I wanted to buy it. When I knew this guy was coming, for the sake of this review, I was going to buy Gaia Unicron until I realized like the cheapest I could find one is $120 for what's like maybe a Voyager, so sorry, no Gaia Unicron. But we do have Transformers Cybertron Unicron, the smallest official Unicron. Look at that little guy. Check him out. So yeah, he works out to be just kind of a little mini, more deranged version of Unicron. I always liked him for what he was. Okay, so do a time skip so we can compare the robot modes. Alright, so here are the other Unicrons in robot mode, including our little Transformers Cybertron Unicron right here. So you can see there's real difference in scale here, right? You got HasLab Super Mega Ultra Size. I don't really have a size class for this. So I'm making one. It's officially Super Mega Ultra. That's it. There's no debating it. Now, this was basically a Supreme class toy back in the day, the Armada one. Then all the way down to a little deluxe of all things. So you can see 3 quite distinct designs, 3 very distinct size classes. This nice little gradient here going on. And here's our little matchup with Primus, who's even smaller than the Armada Unicron. So just keep that in mind. Yeah, it doesn't even come up to like Unicron's waist or hip area, so he is very much outclassed at this point. And again, I would not be upset if we got a HasLab Primus just to help make up this difference. I mean, if they can do such a good job with Unicron, I'm sure they can do something great with Primus. Time will tell. Not getting my hopes up. Here you go. You want to see Primus just get his butt hopelessly kicked by a much more powerful Unicron? You can always play that out. And then for the last comparison, we have the former largest Transformers toy ever made. This is Titans Return Fortress Maximus. So he or his mold mate, Grand Maximus, both tie it like pretty much right at 24 inches. And one thing to point out is that Unicron's in a bit of an A stance right now, so that costs him a slight amount of height, whereas this guy's just straight up and down. But yeah, you can see, right, he cuts off here, which goes right about eye level to Unicron. So then he's got like another half a head on him without the horns, and then the horns and the wings just bring him quite a bit more height there. They say he's 27 inches. I'm not sure at what point exactly they're measuring. They're measuring the horns or the wings. The wings kind of go up a tiny bit more. Hard to say. But either way, you can see he's clearly the largest. And, you know, even though his height isn't phenomenally more than Fort Max's, he's just so much more bulky, so much more solid, much more posable too. Fort Max is becoming quite an outdated design at this point. I think I kind of consider modern Titans, like modern engineering Titans, to be like Trypticon Onward, where they have all the posability and all that, and that nice hefty ratchets. Metroplex and Fort Max are kind of a bit behind, and I kind of wouldn't mind seeing redos of them. You know, rumors are to be believed, Titan class is done after Kingdom, so we'll see what happens there. Oh yeah, gone and swapped out the chin too, by the way, for the goatee one, because it's way better. Look at the goatee chin. It's so nice. All right, I've shown, I think, everything I really wanted to with this guy. We saw the planet mode, saw the transformation. Now we get the robot mode, got to compare them with some things. Look at posability. Yeah, this is absolutely a work of art. It's not everyone's cup of tea. For one, it's just absurdly expensive, and that's going to be just cost prohibitive for probably most people right there. A lot of people don't like the kibble. That may kill it for you. Personally, I like the finished product, kibble and all. And as far as the overall presentation, I think he's great. The cost cutting that we talked about, the blue maw, the blue and gray hands. I already talked about this, but these feet were supposed to be silver like the hands too, and they got rid of that silver paint. Now they're just gray like the fingers. So that stuff. The blue lower teeth. The blue lower teeth probably bother me more than all the other shortcuts they took. It just looks weird. I mean, you know, it's his face. You gotta get the face right. And the blue rings are kind of annoying as well. Won't bother me as much as some things, but yeah, that's a change that should not have been made. So really, aside from just some slight disappointment with the paint apps, everything else about it, like the mold's phenomenal. The paint apps we do get are also just really, really great. Let me get Formax out of the way so you can get a better look at that. You can just see all that. He's got, you know, what does he have? Silver, the light blue, an even lighter blue. He has what looks to be some yellow in here that you may or may not be able to pick it up on camera. It's a lighter yellow than most of his more orange yellow. That's the other thing worth pointing out too. Oh, yeah, you can see some on his thighs too. They changed his overall colors too since the original shots. The original shots, this was just a much brighter yellow. You know, way less orange and just bright yellow. And then the blue is more of a baby blue. And that's a change I'm happy about. They got it much closer to what most artwork really shows for his colors. Now, even with that though, even with that being a positive change, I think what should have happened, because of the nature of this, because of the fact that it's basically a crowdfunded thing, super high asking price. I mean, you're practically begging people, like, please let us make this. I don't think you really ever should make any changes without letting your backers know, right? Give them the heads up. Don't just make the changes and, you know, hope they don't notice or hope they'll like it. So, and, you know, and I say that on principle, right? As much as I like the change to the color palette, they really should have consulted the backers before doing it. And then especially with the changes that people don't like. Because I've never heard anyone complain about, like, the better orange and all that. I think everyone's happy with that. But, you know, the bad changes especially should have been run by everybody. But, again, I think they did that on purpose. They don't want to advertise the cost cutting, so they're just going to hope we don't notice. So, you know, the blue palms are here to stay, the blue teeth, blue rings, all that. It is what it is. I'm still happy I have it. Like, yes, it could have been a little bit better if they had stuck to the initial, you know, paint colors and all that. But, you know, I'm good with it. I'm really happy I got this. Finding somewhere to display him is going to be interesting. I think I'm just going to have him on a ground level shelf by itself for now, so like a platform. Yeah, I mean, the value, I see it. You know, I was very skeptical when they first revealed this. I laughed at how much he cost, but getting him in hand, really feeling him, feeling how solid everything is. I mean, he's just, man, he's one of a kind. He really is a work of art here. And all the extra stuff too, you know, the accessories, the flight stand, the big black stand for him, all that makes me really happy with this purchase. And if you are someone that did back it, or you're thinking about buying one on the secondary market, though odds are the price can be a lot higher, if you can swing it, if it's not going to bankrupt you, I think you'll be happy. I think you'll really, really enjoy this thing. And I'm happy to have it. I'm happy to review it for you guys. This is obviously going to be a very long review. Definitely you know, a bit different than the rest, where you got me in front of the camera and everything, but kind of needed for this. Yeah, HasLab Unicron. If they ever do a second run of him, you know, make sure not to miss out. I don't know, sell your puppy or something, because this guy, he is it. Of course, that is just my opinion on this Unicron. I imagine there's going to be a lot of mixed receptions to this, both good and bad, and I want to know what you all think. I really want to hear it. I hope it's a busy comment section. You know, do you like this guy? Did you back him? Did you not back him? Why not? If you didn't, you know, do you wish you could? Or did you back him and you regret getting him? I'd love to hear just all the different takes, all the different stories behind this, because this is could be a once-in-a-lifetime kind of experience as a Transformers fan. And I think this warrants some special attention. So, yeah, if you enjoyed this very long review, make sure to toss it a like. Let YouTube know you want to see more stuff like this. If you do want to see more like this, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you always get a heads up when I post something new. And thank you for joining me for this look at the phenomenal, very impressive HasLab War for Cybertron Unicron. And with all that said, I will see you next time.